It's missing a few players, but at the same time, they're getting closer to their full-strength lineups the closer we get to round one. And both these teams only one more NAB Challenge game to play before their season starts. In fact, only one round of NAB Challenge for every club. This is the last of the second round games. And we're underway in Bendigo. Warnock against Grundy in the ruck. Judd gets a little handball out, but Jason Tutt gets the free kick for the Blues. Join the Blues over summer to Yaron. Floats one wide, and the mark taken just inside 50 by Bell.
Well, we talk about it a lot, but you want the ball in the hands of the players that use it the best. And that's why Tutt was so keen to give it to the man running off half-back, because when you've got foot skills like Chris Yaron, you can see what the end product is. That's hitting a target now, a set shot from 40 metres out on probably a 45-degree angle, a little tighter than that. You
talked about Jason Tutt. He kicked a few goals as a small forward for the Bulldogs. They'll certainly be looking for him to do the same at Carlton. They're a little bit short there.
Been in good form, Tom Bell. 19 possessions in their first NAB Challenge game. Bends that back. Is in exceptional form.
It's a good start for the Blues. Get the ball from the centre contest, albeit through a free kick, but then quick movement of the footy. And it was Yaron steaming off half-back. You could see him just lurking. And I think Pendlebury tried to pick him up, but just wasn't quick. In fact, I think it was Josh Thomas that was doing the chasing. Wasn't quick enough to pick him up. And he just hits targets, and that's what you want. And a good finish from Tom Bell.
I think it's pretty exciting for the Carlton supporters. Tom Bell's one of those guys you'd like to really step up and go to the next level this year. He's got a fantastic build. He's shown in his 30 games or so that he's quite capable at this level.
I still don't know what his best position is, Brett.
Yeah. Well, he's versatile. He's a bit like that Kuta Feedy's builder. You hope he's half as good as Kuta.
He fractured his finger last year, missed 7 games, and that really wrecked any consistency in his season. Pendlebury playing for the first time this year today. Judd also playing his first game of the season. Jamison.
And they started on each other at that bounce too. Head to head, Judd and Pendlebury.
Karato long to Casbolt. And Brown right with him. He's another player that wants to get a little bit more football in 2014 than he did 2015 than he did in 2014, Nathan Brown. Just 3 games last year.
They really need him to be the general of defence now with Neil, I shouldn't say Neil Maxwell. How well am I going? Maxie not being out there anymore.
Goldsack drops it as he was tackled, but he didn't have prior and he didn't throw it away. It was knocked out in a tackle, after which he didn't have any prior opportunity, so no free. If he had prior there, it would have been a free. This is Travis Barco.
He's the one sub for the day. There could have been 4. He's the only one.
Yeah, and that 3-way trade with Geelong, and they're pretty happy with the 3-way trade right now. Geelong, they got Mitch Clark, and of course Melbourne got Haritia, Lumumba, Judd, Yaron, and there's Tutt again.
It's twice already. Yaron has steamed pass for the hand pass.
Sits it up for the Flyers.
Oh.
Big pluck over the top, and he has actually marked it. So a great fly, Everett, with the new do.
Gee, it was a good leap.
It was.
It would have been a spectacular mark if he took it first time, but even though he didn't, he was good enough to track the ball, and because he does actually do a little bit of damage on the pack, he's the one that's where the ball is falling.
So one ex-dog to another ex-dog, although Andreas did drop into Sydney for 43 games, and he looked good last year. He's looking good early this year.
Certainly no issue for Carlton as their tall forwards, and Andreas Everett can get thrown in with Levi Casbolt, Jones, Lockie Henderson as well. They certainly, I think they nearly led the competition last year for marks inside their forward 50 where they get their goals from. It's just the problem is when the ball hits the ground, have they got enough there? That's impressive from about 5 deep.
Good lead.
Normally works pretty hard over pre-season, Andreas Everett, to present himself extremely lean. A season ago went to the martial arts discipline camp in Thailand for a couple of weeks and had the strict training and food regime over there. Grundy up against Warnock. Gibbs. And Casbolt with the 3rd, not the 4th grab. Plenty of it, but not enough of it. Scramble kick from Swan, who's also back into the Collingwood lineup this week, playing his first. Everett to Gibbs. Just outside his range. Didn't want to go for the super goal, and Hasn't been as many of those kicked, and front on contact with Crisp. So Jack Crisp to take the free for Collingwood. We saw him in NAB 1. Ball rolls out of play. Mr. Goey. And he was impressive in NAB 1 as well. Jordan De Goey in the 35. New recruit. Speaking of trades, part of that Dame Beams trade to Brisbane, picked 5 in the end. Collingwood got De Goey 4, and he is on track for round 1. Dwyer gives the handball back. Little nudge to the side, and Crisp, speaking of Brisbane, rakes it in on the line.
You would have played with him at Brisbane, Brownie. What's he going to offer the Pies?
Well, he's a very good athlete. He can tag, but he's quite versatile. He can play half forward, wing. He gets across the ground really well, and he's a pretty big build.
Kennedy, just outside the 50. And we saw a couple of players forward for Collingwood last week. Galt was one of them, and he started late with a couple of goals. And we saw him late last year, at least, make his AFL debut, Corey Galt. But he's still on the rookie list.
I love the clever kick from Ben Kennedy. Left foot up, didn't try and do too much on the opposite side of the body. He just chipped it into space, which allowed Galt the free run at the ball.
Played the final game of the year against Hawthorn last year, and if you can kick him like that, you're a good chance of staying in the lineup.
Been taking lessons from the bloke beside me, I reckon. It's like one of your kicks, Jason.
Well, the lead out was very Jason Dunstall-like too.
I actually watched him kicking from that pocket there. The breeze is going a little right to left, but he just got that one to hold up against the breeze. That went pretty much dead straight. There's that little right foot chip kick, just to space. Didn't try to do anything special with it. Just gave his forward a chance. Been an exciting start to the game. So some good skills from both teams and good finishing.
I tell you what, though, he's got a better head of hair than you do.
You didn't see him in the early days, man. It's halfway down the back.
Yeah, that's the what a lineup we've got today, by the way. 9 premierships between them. 4 to Jason Dunstall, 3 to Jonathan Brown, who's joining us for 2015, and David King on the boundary line with 2 of his own.
Just a lightweight, Brownie.
Everett slams it inside 50 again. And Brown with one hand. Henderson manhandles him, then grabs him and grabs him too high.
Took a while before he paid that one. I thought he was going to say, you know, the head was down, so there wasn't much he could do, but in the end he thought the high contact warranted a free kick.
Be a good matchup too. Nathan Brown playing on Lockie Henderson.
Yeah.
The other end, Travis Cloak and Michael Jamison.
Sinclair goes wide. Good mark though. Curnow also had injury problems last year, but when he came back, had a good finish to the season. Long inside 50 again. The big flyers go up. It's old-fashioned footy at the moment, long to the top of the square, let the pack go up.
And they have been big packs that have actually been competing, 6, 7, 8 players at a time. It's not something you see as a general rule.
Scramble clear by Grundy. Tui bends it around in the pocket, but not enough.
It's exciting watching some of the midfield battles. I mean, at different stages, they're not going with hard tags, so we've seen Judd on Pendlebury at one stage. There was Pendlebury on Gibbs at the last centre bounce. At that stoppage, it was Swan against Judd. So just letting the good players go head-to-head.
Long towards the wing. So Jacks with the fist in the 18 for Carlton. Has Curnow working hard as he always does in the middle of the congestion and goes back in. Umpire might be sorting this out. What's also exciting is seeing football played in front of a full house. Football around Australia has been taking football to places that doesn't see a lot of AFL action, and boy, are they enjoying this early here in Bendigo. Doherty. Everett, this is for 9, just outside the 50, and they're turning it on for the full house in Bendigo. Super goal to Everett.
You talk about good contact. As soon as that left the boot, you knew it was travelling. It was one of those where the transfer from hand to foot was perfect. He just nailed it. That is a great finish. What about the start that he's had already? A 9-pointer plus a pack mark and a goal a couple of minutes earlier. He gets the quick hand pass and off one step just launches it. That is a brilliant finish.
Somerville is the club I think that he came from as a kid. We'll see who gets the full $500 worth of Sharon's thanks to NAB, thanks to Andreas Everett.
Another one of those versatile types that can play, like Tom Bell, Lockie Henderson, Simon White. They can play at both ends of the ground or in the midfield.
There are a couple of players in the AFL who have multiple junior clubs, so can be a little bit of a toss-up as Judd flicks it out to White.
Should go to each of the clubs.
Bell, that'd be nice. Juddy, long inside 50 again. There's the fist from Brown.
Another big
Oxley, dragged down. Pendlebury with some poise. Galt leads up to the wing this time. Good fist away. It's from Jacks. It's been a good pick-up as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be the MO for Carlton. Is just banging in there. They've got a very tall forward line. Also got Sam Rowe playing forward today. Normally he's been picking up one of the opposition's best forwards.
Casbolt and Grundy do some dancing together.
The other thing the Blues are doing, Brown, is all those quick long kicks have been into the corridor. They're keeping it central. They're not kicking into the pockets.
Jacks will fly again, and Crisp out-readied. Took the step, told to go, heads to the pocket. Cloak, who also didn't play in NAB Challenge 1 for Collingwood. Yaron down the middle, dangerously.
Yeah.
That was touched. Pendlebury claims the mark.
He cannot pay that. The umpire was unsighted, unfortunately. He didn't see it come off hands first. But smart of Scott Pendlebury to claim it and see if he could get away with it. He had a bit of time. He wasn't grabbed straight away, so he thought, oh, well, I'll hold it up and see what the umpire says. He's paid the mark.
Fair dingham, he's nicked that through the gully.
Yeah.
Not just first slip.
And it was a teammate that got a big hand on it.
One of the all-time Collingwood greats now, Scott Pendlebury. Last 5 years in a row All-Australian, and he kicks it out on the full-on cue.
Just going across. It's only a slight breeze, but it is favouring that left-hand side.
Have a look at that.
It just comes off fingertips. And
thank you.
Again, pick pack flies. Menzel stayed down. Slick hands, and he is away. This is Blaine Boakhurst. Gives it off unselfishly. Tart, centering kick. Everett in space. He's got 3.
A dream start. I'll tell you what, if we can get the behind the goals footage of that, or some sort of footage, because that was the best slingshot you'll ever see. I reckon all of Carlton's players were up, certainly in Collingwood forward half. Once they realised they had the footy, away they went. Obviously, Tut just chipped it over to Everett to finish things off.
Good leg speed, Tut, because he had a couple of options running forward there, but Tut just showed a little bit more acceleration than Bell, I think the other one was, and that's why he ended up getting the hand pass. He was just he's travelling across the ground a little quicker and used it beautifully. In the first quarter now for Andreas Everett has been extraordinary.
I'll tell you what, Bucks will be disappointed with that, because usually one of the main things the coaches stress to the defenders, don't let the opposition get behind you.
Nathan Buckley, who's been talked about in the press in the recent days, will talk to their president Eddie Maguire at halftime about the press, about the pressure Nathan's under, and aspirations for this season. Looking forward to that at halftime. Yaron caught at half back. Cloak had him, wrapped him up, dispossessed. And that's a fumble from Josh Thomas, not a handball.
Ben Kennedy a little wobbly behind play. Just getting to his knees.
Yeah, going to come from the ground now, Jay. So it's good contact. This is a fast game, this.
Yeah.
Do we have to have a look at what Mick Malthouse has been able to do here? If they rejig their speed of ball movement over summer, because this is as fast as I've seen Carlton for some time.
It's up and back, isn't it? We've just seen Everett there get the ball in the back pocket, and he's already kicked 3 goals.
Here's Blaine Boakhurst again. Mature draftee. In fact, the oldest of the first round draftees, and that's a big pluck forward by Jones. So new recruits everywhere playing well for the Blues.
Well, it's good conditions, as we said, Brownie, and they're just saying, let's kick it in fast, long, high, let the big blokes fly.
Well, and so they should. They've got all the tall guys down there. Liam Jones is one of them, obviously a recruit from the Bulldogs. He's a real powerful athlete at his best in an aerial contest, but they are moving it really well, and they're prepared to go through the centre a bit more. Obviously, Mick Malthouse coached teams are quite well known for going around the boundary. Looks like they've made some tinkering over the pre-season.
Traded by the Dogs for pick 46. Amazing start from the Blues.
There's been very, very good movement of the footy from the Blues from the moment they started. This is Ben Kennedy just copping one.
Oh, yes, beautiful.
And that's, I think, he's got the cheek on the shoulder there. That would have stung him. He was a little slow to get up. Very courageous player. Very courageous player.
Yeah.
He'll be back in the thick of things before too long, you would imagine, provided there's nothing too wrong with him. But a great start for the Blues. They'd be excited by what they've seen thus far.
Liam Jones, we know he can do that. Top 5 in the AFL back in 2011 for contested marks. He's had a couple of lean years since then, though.
That's the other thing you mentioned, playing all those tools, Brownie. All of a sudden, he gets Alan Tuvey as an opponent.
Yes, he does. And I think that's going to be... He didn't have that at the Bulldogs. He didn't have another forward there to back him up.
Good steal by Kennedy, so he looks okay now. Just got it off to Blair in time. Front spot row. Captain the team in NAB 1. Hands it off to Yaron. Wide. And this is Patrick Cripps, who's changed his number over summer. Looks a little different in the 9.
Like
and Lucas's old 9.
Like the look of him, Dwayne. He's tough inside mid. Number 9 there, Patrick Cripps.
He broke his leg last year, only managed 3 games.
He's quite tall for a mid.
Good flick down to Dwyer from Grundy. Yaron read it okay. Couldn't half volley it. Judd. Oh, just missed Kerno with the handball. Greenwood. Speaking of new recruits, Collingwood's new boy from North Melbourne. Yaron flies. Kennedy flicks. Cloak. Didn't get the bounce.
Just watching Chris Yaron just do his thing across half-back. I think he's going to fast become Carlton's best player this year. His ball use is something that most teams need to stifle. He's on fire so far today.
And coming off the best season of his career, Chris Yaron last year, spot on kinging. Carazzo bangs it outside 50. Race on. Tuvey should get there first. Karnesis. Cloak's there. Kennedy's there. Fist away from Doherty.
And see, for everything we're talking about down Carlton's forward line, plenty of tools. At the moment, there's only Travis Cloak. He's one out. And if he has his path blocked, it's very difficult with that long, high kick-in that we just saw from Karnesis for Collingwood to actually compete. There's only Smalls there, and so Carlton are finding it pretty easy at the moment just to sweep the ball out of defence, mopping up with numbers.
That's it right there.
Menzel to Tui. Jacks.
They've got free numbers everywhere, Carlton, at the moment.
Gibbs.
This would be concerning Nathan Buckley. No doubt the way the defensive setup is breaking down.
Bell missed his handball target, back to Gibbs. Kerno makes it okay. Gibbs runs to 45 and sprays it. Well, you could argue no other coach in the AFL knows Collingwood as well as Mick Malthouse knows Collingwood. So
You could, but that doesn't help. The forward pressure has been pretty ordinary by Collingwood, and that's going to have to be one of their strengths during the year, Dwayne. That's letting them down at the moment.
Bell. Okay, where's Everett? He's the hot man. Jones is there as well. Ball clears them all. And towed off the back by Tutt. He's had a good first term.
Well, that's the other thing that looks to be a difference at the moment, aside from the way the ball's being moved from one end to the other. They just look quicker. They look like they've got more leg speed, the Blues, than the Pies have at the moment. They can't run with them.
Definitely an area they've addressed, and I think Kingy made the point about Chris Yaron playing at half-back. He's going to be one to really start that attacking flow, and I think guys have confidence when Chris Yaron gets the footy that they will take off a lot quicker.
Yep.
You know, you'll be running forward with confidence when Yaron's got the ball in his hands.
So Travis Cloak off for a spell. Galt comes back onto the ground, and he's the lone tall for Collingwood. Just playing a 5-man forward line, but really lacking some marking capabilities down in their forward 50 at the moment, so they've got to be careful the way they move the footy.
Of course, Jesse White pulled out just before the game.
It's true. They are missing a few. Jamie Elliott not playing. He's normally a sprightly forward who can get up.
And this has been far too easy, the way that the Carlton players have steamed off half-back and then delivered the ball going forward without any pressure on them.
Brown heads wide to Goey, although it's too far and might be even out on the full. Jacks.
Yeah, I thought it was out on the full. Umpire adjudicated that it was touched on the line or just inside.
That stat there, Collingwood's disposal efficiency at 49% is going to be the talking point for the whole season. Had a poor year last year, ranked 16th in the competition, and their recruiting strategy has already been questioned. That will be the number that we'll focus on.
Galt for Solo, so he's playing forward at the moment and played both ends at times last year. Tui.
Again, they had to kick to a small, and the Blues get numbers back and really have so many options coming out of defence.
Simpson. Menzel.
setting up in the corridor again.
On the cut off. Karnesis. And just finds Blair, so he'll get an opportunity to kick Collingwood's second.
That's just about the first time they've made a mistake coming out of defence, the Blues.
Exactly, and I think that's the way Collingwood's going to have to enter into their forward line. They're going to have to look for the shorter targets, lower their vision coming in, instead of just looking for Travis Cloke and bombing it in every time.
So not playing for Collingwood, Jesse White, Jared Witts, Darcy Moore, Ben Reid, of course. Blair looks good off the boot. Goal umpire did not move. And this is his first game of 2015 as well. Jared Blair didn't play NAB 1.
Another premiership player there. Obviously, one of the strengths of Collingwood over the last few years, certainly the premiership years, was the ability for the guys to be able to play midfield and forward as well.
And kick goals.
And kick goals. He's obviously one of their critical players in that role.
Yeah, you need the players like Blair,
Side bottom.
like Elliott, like side bottom, and for Solo. They've got to be kicking 30 or 40 goals a season to give support to Cloke, as we see David Cloke and Eddie Maguire there in the crowd. So don't know that they'll be overly thrilled with what they've seen thus far.
As I said, we'll find out from half-time, and Eddie will be up here, what he thinks. Our colleague will be back on Fox Footy in 2015. Calling the action for you. Rowe doing some ruck work. And Grundy wins the free.
See now, behind the footy, Tyson Goldsack's trying to get back and block the Carlton forward line.
Sinclair long to that goal square. Knocked to ground. Jamison. Crunch. Off the deck for Solo. Touch through in the end. Clock stops, of course, in the last 5 minutes of the second round NAB Challenge games. No time on for the first 15 other than after goals or blood rules. Tui heads wide. Bell.
Like that, that's it. Right there. Wait.
Goldsack knocks it out.
The other interesting thing here is the breakneck speed that Carlton's playing at. Can they sustain that all throughout the game? That's where I think at times they're still going to have to control it, just take the edge off the game, allow the players to get their breath back so they can keep playing this high tempo of footy.
Thomas to Dwyer. Put it on the deck as he was tackled by Judd. Umpire didn't like that. And here is Chris Judd. 14th season for Chris Judd.
Just does what he does year in, year out, doesn't he?
He's likely to become a victim of his own unbelievable standards this year as he gets on in his early 30s.
He's had a good pre-season too, Dwayne, unlike last year.
Yeah. We're not expecting him to be winning another Brownlow this year or being the best 3 or 4 players in the competition, but he is still a very, very good player. So he's one of, a number of very, very good players Carlton will still rely on. Just can't expect him to win games off his own boot week in, week out anymore. Jamison hands it off. Simpson just floats that a little on Everett. Cripps flicks it away, but it'll be coming back. Doherty. Wide. Clem Smith was there, but he missed him with the handball attempt. Just turned 9-10 years of age. They're pick 60 from last year's draft. We're in the 25. Clem Smith. Play against some men last year in the Waffle. Senior games in the Waffle last year, so won't mind the bigger bodies. Thomas. Yaron, here we go. Set it all up. Looks at the pass options.
Good pick up.
Yeah, lace out in the end. Henderson dragged down, and he just dropped that on the turf. Got away with it. Here's Clem Smith on cue, and he gets a free.
Plays a bit like Byron Pickett, Clem Smith. Looks a likely type. He'd be a chance for round 1.
So he'll put some fear into a few. Yaron, if he wants the 9 attempt, he doesn't.
He used to get a bit wary when Byron Pickett was around in the area.
Especially early before they changed the rules on him.
Yes.
He actually caused the rules to be changed with a bump on Brendan Crummell. Jason, were you playing that?
No, but I did see it.
Okay.
Nasty.
Brendan Crumble didn't see it.
No. And I think on YouTube, if you haven't seen it, see it. Oh, Tui, long bomb for 9. Just touched.
We might have seen it in the hospital ward afterwards, I reckon.
He did start as a full forward, Byron Pickett. You wouldn't want to be blocking the hole in front of Byron, I wouldn't have thought.
Chris Yarran, the #1 possession getter on the ground at the moment. He's got 8 possessions. Tell you what, half of those are handball receives, and they need to pay a little closer attention to him, the Pies.
So get their chance
2 on 1 here.
To go into Galt. Now he's got Fasolo over the top, and he's also got Blair. So he goes over the top nicely. Open goal for Blair. Can stroll in and put it into the car park. Just rolls it nicely through.
Can't believe he didn't put it way out in the car park just for all the kids out there to go and collect a free Sharon and then on their bikes and down the road. I'm sure NAB would sponsor it.
It's the first time they've been able to get numbers out the back of the Blues.
Yeah.
And Galt moved it on quickly on the left. It was a bit of a wobbly kick, but it hit the target, and he's got an open 50-metre arc. Jared Blair just strolls in to kick the simplest of goals.
That's the key, Jace. If you do get all your players up the field and you can get a break, you have to keep moving the ball quick, and you should be able to expose your opposition at the other end.
Corey Galt has looked likely up forward, Jace. He's getting some space down there, getting some opportunity.
Yeah, I like when they play both he and Cloak at different stages. One's been on and the other's been off, and one out, they're just not getting kicks to their advantage, and that's where the Blues have been able to sweep it away pretty quickly. But now they're both out there. Hopefully, that gives them a few more options in the air.
Doherty heads wide. Taking it off half-back Kieran Byrne, the Irishman. Grundy did well. Pendlebury. Just flicks it over the top casually. Cut off. So Henderson can go, although he's about to be shut down by Karnesis. Just wrapped him up. Turnover. Oxley. Collingwood could get 3 in a row to finish the quarter here. Galt is inside 50 in a one-on-one. One tap at it. Might still get a second go here for Solo. He looks over the top to Goey.
Great vision.
Oh, he's fumbled it. He's got assistance if he wants it. Kennedy. And just squeezes it through.
I think that'll make the first episode of the bounce.
You would have thought that there would be players around him talking to him. He had an eternity. I think because he dropped the chest mark, he started to panic a little bit, thinking he'd get closed down. There's no one within Cooper. I thought Jax was a little unlucky. He tried to kick the ball in front of him and move it out, but he was outnumbered in the end. You can see they got the numbers there. It's just a matter of take your time, relax. But he hurried it a little bit. I'm very, very glad that this went in. There's nobody anywhere near him.
When we're going down to half-time, I reckon you should just drop in and have a word at the Collingwood rooms.
So his power is one of his strengths.
Like Josh Caddy. Nathan Buckley spoke about in pre-game. There's a chance for round 1. It won't be if he keeps dribbling along.
With 3 goals in a row to Collingwood to put them back in it. Long launch inside 50. Another big pluck. And this time it's Levi Casbolt.
I reckon he's got the best jukes in the business this bloke.
They're just queuing up the Blues talls to have a run and jump at the packs.
So they've had Liam Jones, Andreas Everett, and now Levi Casbolt taking big grabs inside their 50. And this for the last kick of the quarter.
This is an area of his game that's let him down, though.
He's 50-50 at goal career.
Distance won't be an issue because he does launch the ball.
It'll only be for 6, even though he kicks it from outside.
It's a sack.
Yeah. And it hasn't even scored.
Caught it beautifully.
Have been a few talking he's kicking up over summer, saying he's improved it. Not on the evidence just yet. Entertaining first term here in the NAB Challenge clash at the Queen Elizabeth Oval here in Bendigo. Carlton at quarter time by 15.
There's the big fellas down there, Liam Jones. Young fella there, there's a first round pick for Carlton, Bockhurst.
He looked okay, has some speed. He's a mature first round pick, the oldest first round pick this year, 21 years of age. They'll be pretty happy with what they've seen so far. Doherty pumps it inside 50. There's Bockhurst here in the 12, couldn't quite get it. Jones tried to give it to him. Tuvey, Kennedy, Crisp, Thomas, Langdon, Fasolo. Better movement, Collingwood. One-on-one, Jamison and the strength Cloak. Hits the deck. Byrne and the 38 did well there for the Blues. They're Irishmen.
It's good effort by Michael Jamison there. Most times Travis Cloak would ragdoll his opponent, but Michael Jamison's an experienced defender. One of the better defenders in the comp, to be honest.
He kept 9 clean sheets last year, conceding no goals in 9 of the 20 games he played, which pretty fair effort.
And he's really quick, Dwayno, on the lead. He can go on the lead as well.
Sounds like one of those clean sheets might have been Brisbane.
My mum could have kept me a clean sheet by the end of my career, mate.
Karnizis gives it off to Grundy. Yeah, it's harder to keep those clean sheets in a team that misses the 8, finishes lower down the ladder as well. Henderson. Jones, his target. Casbolt's also there. Jones had plenty of it, but not enough. Tut. Good first turn. Taps it to Bell. Not too sure who he was centering to. No Blues there. Grundy's lurking on his own. Warnock's about to get there. Put the motors on. Good jumps in. Contest.
Well done, Grundy.
Crisp. Kennedy. Fasolo. And Cloak leads up.
Good. Great to see this. That's what you want early on in the game. Travis Cloak first going back, leading up at the ball carrier, instead of waiting for it to be kicked on top of his head.
Trouble is, if he kicks this long, it'll be to a 2-on-1.
Blocking.
Oh, here's the new rule coming into play, Dwayne.
And I thought he was actually pushed out, Kristen Jacks, but the umpire deems that he pushed Gold. We'll have another look at that shortly.
There'll be a few of those throughout the course of the season, no doubt.
Goes inboard, Oxley. Well, that's for 9. He got plenty on it. It's all the way home.
Terrific kick.
Well, let's have a look at this, because the new interpretation says that if you go off your line or take a player out and don't allow him to go, now it's because he initially had good position, but then once Galt starts to go towards the ball, he goes and pushes him further across young Jacks. That's why he's been pinged there. But how good's that finish off 2 steps? That's a good 55-metre drop punt, and it doesn't have any breeze helping from that end, let me tell you.
What footy club have we got there, Dwayno? They'll be pretty happy with that check in the mail. Redlands.
Redlands, yeah.
Is he a Queensland boy?
Must be.
Redlands, that's Queensland.
Nothing wrong with a good Queensland boy.
Nice to see $500 worth of Sherrins heading up north. Grundy bangs it inside 50 as well. Byrne hands it back. Jacks got himself out of trouble. Turns it over. Crisp. Different Collingwood since about the 15-minute mark of the opening term for Solo. So they've kicked the last 4 goals of the game. Collingwood have a chance here to actually level the scores for the first time since about the first minute.
He's an important player for Collingwood.
Yeah.
I really think there's a massive role for Alex Fasolo to play. They need that player that can not only kick his share of goals, but be a good lead-up, hit-up play when they need him, and he also uses the ball particularly well.
How many goals, Jace, do you reckon he can kick?
He hasn't kicked over. He has. It's come back late. I think he's at least a 30 to 40 goal kicker if he's basically spends most of his time forward. But he'll hit up on the lead. We've already seen him once or twice hit up to the wing because he's got good leg speed. And then when he gets the ball further afield, he's a beautiful kick of the ball. So he's one of the guys you want using it. But also, as we see here, he's difficult to match up on. He's that mid-size. So you've got to be quick, you've got to be agile, but he's also got a good spring and a good set of hands.
30 to 40 would be a great return.
Yep.
It's a fantastic play. Definitely tell the call's gone out halfway through the first quarter from the Collingwood runner to tell the midfielders to stop bombing it into the forward line. They're using their vision a bit more. We call it lowering the eyes when we're coming into the forward line, looking for more of those short options.
How congested it is up the spine. Not too bad. Plenty of space there. Cripps, Carazzo, Simpson. There's the bomb. Casbolt being led to it by Brown. Relatively kind bounce, even though it didn't go to him. Rolled out of play.
There is a slight breeze to the left of screen this quarter, Jace. It has sprung up a little bit.
Has it turned around?
Yeah, it's probably worth a couple of goals. And you can see Carlton have already gone with the extra defender just to give some support down back.
Warnock and Grundy. Almost a head clash. There was a head clash. They're both hurt. So Cripps, hand to his face. He might even be bleeding.
Looked like they both hit each other in the face there.
Yeah. Play continues. Langdon. Keep an eye on that behind play. Turby. Josh Thomas is the other player. Oxley. Keeps it low. Dwyer kept it in front. Menzel. Clever. Good pick and run. And feeds it out to Tutt. Henderson. Oh, great smother from Brown. Jones had about 8 metres on his man. Dane Swan went back to pick him up.
This is two players looking at the football, realising I'm about to run into something. They both stood up and headbutted at the same time.
A couple of blood noses out of that, I reckon.
Ruzzo towards Judd, who called it. Couldn't quite get it to him.
Juddy's already up to about 10 possessions. Just chipping away nicely. It is important, though, as you get older, to have full pre-seasons. It helps your resilience. The body starts breaking down. Juddy's had a full pre-season. It's going to help him.
Good steal. And the run. Kick away from Greenwood. Gold sack. And now Gold having an impact.
That's where they've got to be smart. Just bring it in.
Top of the square to Cloak. Up. Edged out of it legally, according to the umpire. Yaron can't get there in time. So if you've just joined us, scores are level, but Carlton kicked 6 of the first 7 goals of the game. Collingwood kicked the last 3 of the opening term, and they've looked very solid early stages of this second. Quarter's expected to run about 25 minutes in the first 2 rounds of the NAB Challenge. First 15 minutes, clock will continue to run when it's out of play, as it is now. But there will be time on all stoppages in the last 5 minutes of each quarter. A few things will be tinkered with in the final round of the NAB Challenge. It'll go back to being closer to home and away rules. Turvey. Langdon. Oxley. Looks up, he's got Dwyer. For Solo.
Gee, that's
That's extremely
touchy one.
harsh.
I thought he just used the body to hold the line, allow the ball to go past, and then he'd run onto it. But umpires must have adjudged that it wasn't within 5 metres of the ballway.
I think you're allowed to use your body to position yourself in a one-on-one. It's only if you're the third man. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that rule. It's evolving. Umpires are trying to get it as it's meant to be. They're experimenting as well in the NAB Challenge. Karnesis, great feed off. Jackson Ramsey just through hands. A scramble from Jax. Menzel.
You can see what Fasolo's trying to do. Once he sees the kick coming, he just wants the ball to run past uninterrupted. But
Was it because the hands are in the back a little bit there? Or I don't think there was a lot in that.
I don't think there's a lot in it, but anyway.
Judd.
Didn't
Hope. Rowe beaten by the bounce. Turvey.
Collingwood defenders are starting to sweep back quicker now.
Kennedy. Oh, good little flick over the top away from him. And he gets it back White to Yaron. There's the speed. Gets a Shepherd. Goes long. Liam Jones in position 1A.
Except for now. How could you miss Liam Jones? He ran straight past him there. Jack Crisp got left picking him up.
Anytime Yaron's in the game, Carlton score. It's as simple as that at the moment for the Blues across half-back in that wing area as well.
He's off, just come off for a well-deserved spell, Kingy, but they do give it to him every time he's nearby. They want him kicking the footy.
It's interesting too, do you put a defensive forward on him? It's a really tough role to find someone that can defend as a forward and shut someone down.
And puts that on the roof.
Bit of wild
Outside the
between
ground.
drinks for the Blues.
Absolutely. Back in front.
Big season ahead for Liam Jones.
He was Barry Hall's understudy for a couple of seasons. He's found it tough at times. As I mentioned a couple of years ago, he was one of the stars of the competition. Top 5 for contested marks in 11.
And I think he's averaged about a goal a game. He's played about 60-odd games for the Bulldogs. I think if he can get a return of 30 to 40 goals, that'll be a good return for Carlton, especially playing on the second or the third opposition defender.
Good footy brain. His father, Bob, played for the Saints. He comes from a footy family. Maybe he's just taken time to mature. He gets there, can't half volley it. Oh, a little fend off was high from Jackson Ramsey. Blaine Boakhurst.
It was an aggressive push off, wasn't it?
Oh, and 50. So Karnezis didn't get it back in time. He'll have the option. He could take the kick from 45 and go for 9 if he wants to, or take it from the square.
Not happy, young Jackson Ramsey either.
No, you can hear the umpire explain it clearly. I told you 3 times to give it back. You didn't. You get pinged 50. Fair enough.
Bucks will be disappointed in that, but apparently he's been a very good trainer for Collingwood this pre-season. Really improved his skills.
President of the Port Hedland Football Club will be disappointed as well. He didn't go for 9. They would have got the $500 worth of assurance for NAB. But they're playing these NAB Challenge games, the players, as if they are home and away games. They're not really concerned. The result doesn't matter anymore. There's no grand final.
Blaine Boakhurst, Dwayne, we spoke. Oh, there's a nice little fend off the Adams
Only in the
apple.
chest, though.
Slipped up, Adams up a little bit. He'll be sounding like me at the end of the game.
So pick 19, they took him. Brownie is a 21-year-old.
And he battled to get a game there for Swan Districts up until last season, where he had a fantastic year and was drafted very high up on the back of that one season.
So averaging just over 21 touches a week in the waffle.
And been given Mitch Robinson's old number 12 for 2015. Josh Thomas kicks to half forward. Simpson used his body well. Goldsack caught.
We saw him start down back in the first term, but starting forward now, giving them another aerial presence, which they desperately needed.
Warnock. Menzel in the middle of that. Jones read it well.
They were outnumbered there. Good effort by Jones to create the spillage.
So Tutt gave it back. This is Cripps again. Carazzo. And the dive, and Boakhurst has been plated. Not sure if it caught a little bit of grass or not, but this time he could go for 9 if he wants to.
Is he a big kick?
Go for the tall.
Bomb one away.
And you're doing as you would do in the home and away season in these games. And that is kick it disciplined style to either a lead or the top of the square, not going for the hero kick.
He's looked lively though, Boakhurst.
Jackson Ramsey, 3rd year on the list. Heads wide for Solo and on the full.
Back outside. Yeah, that's good, Alex. Don't go forward, though. You're out far.
See if the long bomb is in order here. They go back to Simpson.
Going to try and go around him here, Dwayne.
And there's a nice 1-2. Split the middle. Casbolt's on the lead. Good hands. This will be for 9 if he wants it. But David King suggesting the breeze against them in this quarter of the Blues to this end. Squeezes that. Jackson Ramsey mops it up.
If he could just tidy up that part of his game, whether it be goal kicking or field kicking, Levi Casbolt could be a star. He could be a 50-a-year goal kicker.
Carazzo with the fist. Judd with the collect. Pendlebury dives in. Curnow. Carazzo. Simpson. They've got the outlet players. Oh, Jacks. Curnow smothered. Little untidy.
Improved their pressure here, Collingwood.
Warnock, Carazzo. So they still get a chance. Langdon had a good bite of it. Menzel rolls it towards goal. Now behind.
Just having a look at that Levi Casbolt passage of play you're talking about, lads upstairs, and he's got to learn to give that ball instinctively and immediately to players like Judd that are hovering around for the handball received. Then his possessions will count.
It's the Harry Madden to Bradley handball, isn't it? Now, Harry Madden knew he couldn't kick.
You can just see it here. He takes this mark 60 from goal, and you can see Judd just hovering around. He doubled back into the corridor to get that quick handball receive now and drive that ball in deep. He's got to give that to the star.
Becomes a real weapon if the key forwards can flick it on with the hands as well, King.
Jones gets back. Good second, third. Menzel jumped on. Sinclair. Pendlebury and Yaron tie up. Pendlebury had Yaron by the ear.
Plenty of numbers back for the Pies. That's why he's a little bit indecisive.
Get out to Juddy out his own.
Judd's waiting on his own. No one's picked him up. Judd's going to have to fly here. Up. And for Solo.
Great effort. Good mark.
Just didn't have the spring, the 32-year-old. Langdon.
He needed the trampoline there. He used to train on trampolines, didn't he, Dwayne?
Did he?
Yeah, I think so. He did a fair bit of trampoline work one of the pre-seasons.
Crisp to De Goey. So they've created the loose man, Josh Thomas. Cloak on the left. It's working. And it worked beautifully.
I think he does this quite well, Travis Cloak. When he's active at ground level, I think he's one of his strengths. He's got the left foot here. One of the better goals you'll see from a big, tall forward.
See, again, at least they had the two talls there. So
yeah,
at least one of them's competing, the ball's going to come to ground, and then you stay in the game. But at times when they only had the one tall forward, Carlton were just taking the ball out too easily.
Well, I think it allows if there's another tall forward, it allows Travis Cloak to get up the field and play more as a centre forward because he's got fantastic endurance. Yeah. You don't want Travis to take that part of his game away. He's got to get up there, get some uncontested marks in the lead.
Back in the middle. Half a clearing kick in the end from Greenwood. Simpson to Judd under some pressure, but he still took it. Turns it over. Josh Thomas. That would have been for 9. He sprays it. Yaron and Pendlebury again going head to head.
I think that brings up the age-old argument of where you play Ben Reid. Is he a centre-half back? Is he a full-back? Is he centre-half forward next to Cloak as that secondary target?
Well, it depends if Jesse White or Corey Galt can come on, Kingy, I think.
Henderson. It's good to have a contest for positions between players who probably see themselves as equals right now. Josh Thomas, half smothered. Byrne. Curnow. Caught. Now, does the fumble constitute prior opportunity? No, thankfully.
Certainly an area that they've addressed at quarter time is their pressure all around the ground, but certainly in the forward half. Collingwood's been much improved. It was a strong part of their game during the premierships and a couple of weeks ago against Hawthorn in the first game.
Warnock rolls it clear. And Collingwood coming off a victory in their first NAB challenge game against the Hawks in Launceston. That's on the full, by the way. Carlton coming off a loss to the West Coast Eagles in Mandurah. And Carlton will play Geelong and Collingwood will play the Bulldogs in their final NAB challenge games. And you'll see both of those on Fox Footy. In fact, all the round 3 NAB challenge games will be live on Fox Footy. Thump towards the boundary. Now to play.
I think both sides are looking a little bit tired. It's been played at a breakneck speed the first couple of quarters. Both sides just tiring a bit. The ball movement slowed down, making a few more kicking errors.
Those two games I mentioned, Carlton, Geelong and Collingwood Western Bulldogs, the final NAB challenge games. You can go to afl.com.au to get your tickets. They're both at Etihad Stadium. I'm sure the AFL would like some big crowds at Etihad, given that we've had fantastic crowds around the country, especially at venues like this. Queen Elizabeth Oval here in Bendigo for this one here. At sellout, only ticketed people could get in to see this contest. Bell. Judge. Couldn't lay that tackle on Sinclair. Marley Williams has been on the bench for most of the opening half. Brown. Henderson floats in. Rowe couldn't quite find a target with the handball. Josh Thomas jumped on in that. Simpson. Caught. Pressure's there. Pendlebury. Thought about the centering kick. High bomb, goal square. Cloak's down there. Yaron the crumb. And he scrambled that towards the boundary. Simpson hurt.
He's in a bit of trouble. That's the just popping the hand up there. Let's keep an eye on it here. Gets locked in the legs of the tackler, doesn't it? And he knew he just hurt it straight away.
You just pray after a full pre-season of running that you don't get hurt before the actual season proper.
Pendlebury has the shot from the pocket and misses. He's a fairly durable player too. Kate Simpson every game last year again.
Best and fairest, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's limping, but he wants to stay out there. He just pushed the trainer away, so he thinks it's maybe it was just a little twist and it's settling down. That's good news because he wants to stay out there, although he's not getting out of a limp jog.
Yeah. Greenwood high. Pendlebury's down there and beaten for it this time by Jacks.
I think he's going to come off Simpson. Yep, he's coming off now.
See, warming
he's
up.
jogging, but jogging slowly.
And on the boundary line, Mason Cox warming up for Collingwood as well. Looking forward to seeing him. 211 centimetres. A huge man. American from Oklahoma State. Going to play the second half. Look forward to seeing him as Cloak flies. Rowe with him. The ball out of play. Here he is on the rookie list, Mason Cox.
He actually went to the University of Oklahoma as a soccer player, Dwayne, and he grew 20 centimetres in 18 months, and they whipped him over to the basketball team.
Nice work, as you probably would.
Amazing story, isn't it? Back in August, I reckon he was kicking it off his shin. But he's improved that much over the last 6 or 7 months. And he works really hard, wants to learn. It would be a fantastic story if he could get out there and play during the season.
I think we'll see a bit of him rucking in the second half here today.
Swans ball, 2.5 minutes left. Second term.
Not a lot of it for Dane Swan. That's just his 4th possession.
Crunch. Carazzo off hands. Jamison. Doherty. It's amazing evolution of the game. Internationalisation of AFL. American basketball is coming over here not to play basketball but to play AFL. And why wouldn't you? There's 750 professional AFL spots on lists.
Well, I think
to get anywhere between
and
100,000 and what, $1 million a year.
Yeah. And I think basketball translates well too to the AFL game. It's a 360-degree sport. We know the recruiters chase the local Australian basketball kids to try and get them to play AFL. Pendlebury was a fantastic junior basketball player. Usually the basketball's got really good awareness compared to the rugby codes.
So has Swan got the leg on him here from 50? It'll only be for 6. He goes for the short pass. Crunch and a free kick to Crisp. So a chance here for Collingwood to take the lead for the first time today.
Old teammate of mine, Jack Crisp, boy from Myrtleford. An area of his game he's really worked hard on his kicking. If he can keep improving there, he can be a good player for a while.
Played the last 6 games in a row for the Brisbane Lions last year. Sprays that.
And it was 6 fantastic games too. His career was on the line, Dwayno. And he played really well.
While that was going on, Mason Cox has come on for the first time today, so the big fella's out on the ground.
Same height as Aaron Sandlin's, 211 centimetres, equal tallest player in the game in 2015. Jacks. 7 games.
Here we go.
A couple of seasons with GWS. Kristen Jacks as Cox in the 46 went the disciplined punch. Now a Shepherd. Little handball out from Clem Smith, missed his target.
Just looks a foot taller than everybody else out there.
Does.
He's huge.
And can jump as well. I think he's got the record at the AFL draft combine for vertical leap.
And there you go. That's
Good tap
what
out.
height can do. De Goey. De Goey might get this back. Good collect on the run. Keeps it alive. Oh, hard contest. Greenwood with just as hard as Carazzo. Bell, Yaron, there's the speed off half-back. And there's the poise and the shimmy David King told you about. Another bounce. Straight past Jackson Ramsey. Straight down the... Oh, the umpire's pulled him up.
Half-time.
They should have kept the corner going.
It had to.
That would have been lovely.
What was the timekeeper thinking? Surely could have dragged it out for another 15 seconds.
4 points the margin at half-time in a very entertaining contest between Collingwood and Carlton. Full house, Queen Elizabeth Oval in Bendigo. 54 plays 50. Don't go.
Ball to virtually ruck solo.
So we'll find out from you hopefully soon as to what exactly is the problem with Bryce Gibbs and Kate Simpson for the Blues. So
they're always padded up to the ruckman. They've always got a busted rib or a crook kidney or something from all the knees they cop.
So Warnock in the ruck against Galt, who's been forced to ruck for Collingwood to start this quarter. Thomas. And a hold. And is that for 9 or 6?
Interesting where he sets the mark.
So Goldsack backtracks.
It'll be for 6. You would think he could give this a ride if he chooses to. He's a reasonable kick at the footy, Goldie.
Well, Collingwood has not led today. No. He sends it to the pass option for Solo. Got there.
It was a really clever kick in the end because 2 or 3 of the Carlton defenders, and there were about 6 of them down there, they had their back because they thought their back to the play because they thought he was kicking along to the square and they were going to get there to fly with the pack and perhaps spoil the ball through. But this is the man we've spoken a little bit about. Needs to be an important goal kicker for the Pies in 2015.
Normally pretty accurate too, Jazz.
I think Steele's probably the best authority on it. Who would you want kicking for goal, Steele?
Lucky he didn't ask me before. I would have said he kicked it.
But he's as good as going around, isn't he? Beautiful use for the footy too.
He is. He'd be our best shot at the club for sure.
Definitely talked about, we spoke about Travis Cloke a little bit, Fred. Obviously, he's a big part of the Collingwood forward line, but it needs to be a better spread instead of him being the target all the time. Is that something you spoke about throughout the pre-season?
Yeah, it is, and you know, obviously speaking about Faz, him, you know, Jamie Elliott, and even Corey Galt stepped up, I think, this pre-season.
How's this for a set play? So the bomb kick in went all the way past the centre of the ground. They've got it to the back pocket on 2 kicks.
Michael Jamieson with the big barrel. We've seen him use that a number of times. He does do it in the regular games, and the pack actually ran underneath the ball and it landed right about where the centre circle is. See Brody Grundy subbed out and Travis Varco comes in for the Pies.
Wobbly throw in as well. It was well wide of everybody. Ball back in. Still side bottom. Joining us up here in the commentary position. You started slowly today as well.
We did. Yeah, and to the boys' credit, we've kicked back and obviously only 3 points down now, which is good.
Saw that big torpedo. Free kick's going to be paid
here. Now, what's going to happen here?
Advantage?
Geez, wasn't that vintage, Jody?
No, it's going to Collingwood.
So is it not 50?
They didn't know.
Jody took 3 more steps and kicked the goal.
We've seen Jamieson kick torpedoes for Carlton. Fletcher's done it for Essendon. Is there anyone at Collingwood that could do it? Because Bucks didn't mind the big torps, did he?
He didn't, but I think there's probably only a few blokes that'll get a licence from Bucks, and I think Goldie's the only probably one that would have it. He's a big kick.
To the wing, Swan takes the mark.
What sort of pre-season's Dane Swan had, Steele?
He's worked his way into it. He obviously wasn't doing a lot early, but you know, the last couple of months he's been doing full pre-season. So yeah, he's good to go now.
Tui, Warnock, Smith, Cripps, Jamieson.
A few fumbles.
Broomhead.
We saw at half-time, Steele, a few answers to player profile questions and the like. He's got a different sense of humour, Swanee, hasn't he?
He does, very different.
He was happy to crank on a couple of teammates too.
2 of the all-time greats, a couple of Brownlow medalists going head-to-head, Judd and Swan. Judd wins this battle. Gives it out nicely to Everett, to Tui, to Carazzo. Brown, Henderson, Jones jumps 3 deep. A little scrappy start to this 3rd term. Tuvey, Brown, Crisp. For Solo and Yaron this time, and for Solo almost. Yaron just almost slapped an arm. Gets a handball back to Tui.
I thought he handballed.
Gee.
Oh, right.
He handballed that. That's stiff. I think the umpire was a little little blindsided.
So Will Fasolo, no, he won't go for 9. Short pass to Blair. Now still side bottom with us. Can he kick this from here?
Oh, speaking of talk, Blair might need a talk here.
not the longest kick going around, but again, Alex Fasolo, if he's not kicking goals, you want him distributing the footy because it's just such a good kick.
He is. And it's an area that you struggled with last year, Collingwood, especially bringing into the forward line. Steele was the kicking. Has it been a focus throughout the pre-season to improve the kicking skills across the board?
Yeah, it definitely has been. We've got a coach in pretty much for our, I think he's called a skill acquisition coach, which puts us in certain positions on the ground under different kind of pressure. And as you said, just to make us a better kick. So
I reckon he got a fist of that, Chris Yarran.
I feel a little stiff.
Henderson dragged down in the mark contest.
Just an injury update, Dwayne. We have Bryce Gibbs out of the game with a shoulder stinger, so no major concerns there, but we'll take no further part today. And Simpson's fine. He'll be back out in the ground shortly.
Carlton fans can breathe a sigh of relief. They've already got a few out to damage, and who's out for Collingwood earlier. For the record, for the Blues, Matthew Cruiser, Andrew Walker, Dale Thomas, Mark Murphy not playing in this game.
Gibbs, you'll have time to fix that ponytail up now, Jace.
In terms of fixing it up, Jonathan, what's your suggestion?
Cutting it off.
Right.
I don't bag hairstyles, Brownie.
Too high on Goldsack. If you have joined us late, Collingwood has not led today. Carlton led from the outset, kicked 6 of the first 7 goals of this game. But they've been slowly working their way back since then.
Got him high 3 times then. To make sure, I'm giving one away, to make sure he earns it.
Cloak up, and a good fist away by Jacks, Clem Smith, Curnow, Carazzo. Jones just overcooked, and Tooby content to take it out.
Pre-season this year didn't go to altitude for the first time in a while, Steele. So what was that like? And obviously pre-season train, what was it like just training in Melbourne? And
yeah, well, it's still hot. Obviously, it's cold over there, but we've got a big altitude room at the club now, which, we use a fair bit, but I think training in the heat probably does just as much, I'd reckon.
Cripps to Carazzo, has the shot from the pocket. A lot better accuracy from Carlton than Collingwood.
Saw them start the game very well in the first term. They moved the ball particularly fast. They used it well. Now, they missed a little target coming in. Liam Jones had a good lead. He was 5 clear. It missed him, ended up being a stoppage. But, again, a good clearance there from Chris Judd. The hand pass shoots out, and that's a good finish from Andrew Carazzo.
I tell you what, Chris Judd is looking sensational. He's had 15 touches. He's won some hard balls inside. 9 contested possessions out of the 15. He set that one up.
It's most on the ground, 9 contested possessions. The man that kicked the goal, Andrew Carazzo, is the #1 possession getter on the ground with 17. Now has a goal to his name. 7 of those are contested as well.
A couple of their older players, a couple of 32-year-olds. Carazzo turns 32 at the end of this year. So leading the Blues again with a few of their younger players and new recruits having an influence like Blaine Brockhurst and Christian Jacks, Clem Smith.
Talking about good players, shutting down opposition good players, Steele, who would you be most likely to tag for Carlton? You know, we know Mark Murphy's not playing and Gibbs is on the sideline at the moment. Would you tag one of those two, or would you still go after a Chris Judd?
Well, I would personally probably go someone like Chris Judd. The mids we've got with Pendles and Swanee, maybe put them head-to-head with other blokes, but, when Juddy gets the ball, he's so dangerous, so he's someone that you want to have limited use with.
I dare say someone would be paying more attention to Chris Yarran as well. The number of times he's just got on the end of handball receives would worry you a little bit.
It would.
And that was on Andreas Everett. You saw getting a touch. He kicked 3 goals in the opening term. They've paid a bit of attention to him since quarter time as well. Ball rolls out of play, and we're about to see Mason Cox, 211 centimetres, go at it again in the ruck. What's been the learning curve for the boy from Oklahoma State?
He's a great bloke, actually. As you can see, obviously, he's never kicked the footy before until he comes here. So the skills is obviously the big thing, but he has a crack. He's very quick and athletic, but I think he's definitely got a future in the game.
Good mark to Gold.
Corey Gold looks promising too.
He does. He's a big lad, and I think he's been at the club maybe for 4 years now, and had his injuries, but yeah, it's really coming through now, and yeah, he's showing a lot.
Can he play in the forward line and be a foil for Travis Clark?
Well, I think so. Either probably him or Jesse White. They'll probably be fighting for the same spot, maybe. I'm not sure.
So they wouldn't play all three of those in the same forward line?
Probably not.
Oh, Johnny just came off the bench. He got rather excited.
He could have spoiled that and just ran straight through Tyson Goldsack. He was a bit proppy after that.
Yaron shields his eyes from the sun, takes the mop-up mark.
He's coming off Tyson Goldsack. I reckon he's copped one in the back.
Has been a bit of talk about that, players coming off the bench hot on somebody who thinks they're free. Everett gets there. 3 goals in the opening term, including a super goal. None since then. Carlton by 8 points. Collingwood did draw level in the second term. Yaron. Jamison. Takes off on to go. He gets past him. Judd in that one-on-one. Almost rakes it in as he tight ropes the boundary line. Touched out of play.
Not overly subtle here, Juddy. Just runs straight through him.
Put a saddle on him.
That's 4 games if he does it with malice, but he actually did do it accidentally.
Good from Mason Cox there.
Yeah, handball. First touch in AFL footy.
But showed good agility for a big bloke. Tapped the ball down, and he was first to the ground ball and shot out the hand pass.
Both sides are now struggling to flow the ball a little bit. I think they're both of them are playing loose man behind the footy, aren't they, Kingy? Put Kingy on the spot there. No. We know that's really blocking it up because usually there's a 7th defender for both sides at the moment. That's why they can't get the ball flow as easy as they did in the first quarter, Carlton.
I agree, Brownie. Just watching how they're trying to set up here. Collingwood were at their best late in that first quarter when they could get that rebound out of the back line, and Carlton got stuck in their back line. The late second term, they couldn't get it out. So ball use is the key today.
Swan stripped of it. Marley Williams lays the tackle. Cripps flicks out a handball into some space. Everett sidesteps a couple, thinks about the 9 again. This is for a second 9-pointer for Andreas Everett.
Couple of forwards, one of them Tom Bell, just holding up the hands as though to say, hey, I was in space. Probably a better percentage would have been in the past. We could have had a set shot pretty easily.
Oxley kick in, and here's Corey Galt, the big 46. Winning that contest well, hits the deck. Mason Cox gets himself up as well. 24 years of age today, as President told us. So Galt and Rowe this time. Mason Cox doesn't do the ruck work this time. So 2 big men on the ball. Yaron, Kieran Byrne, the Irishman. Casbolt gets his own crumb, snaps it around the body, caught a little hand, and ricochets out of play.
Not necessarily a bad sign when players clash because they're focused on the pool. They're definitely going hard at it.
Been a couple of those incidents today, hasn't there?
Galt and Rowe. Scrambled away by Broomhead. And to go, he can't mark. Steele Sidebottom's been with us. It's been great to have you, Steele. We'll let you go down and do a little bit more assistant coaching from the boundary.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
Have a great year, mate.
Cheers. Thanks.
All the best.
Steele Sidebottom, who you will see in their last NAB Challenge game. Collingwood v the Western Bulldogs at Etihad Stadium. As I mentioned earlier, Carlton's last game is against the Cats, also at Etihad Stadium. In fact, a doubleheader at Etihad next Saturday.
And Juddy might be getting the blood rule soon. He's got a bit of claret.
Yaron inboard.
After that head knock.
Oh, there they go again.
Two Blues
Three
players
of them
riding
there.
each other. Tui. Jacks, who's looked good at half-back. Turns it over this time, though. So on as the sub, Travis Varco. Straight down the middle, Marley Williams. Not a lot to go too long. Swan sits it up. He's got Crisp down there. Good fist away from Doherty. Henderson collects.
looked to throw.
And a throw, and this will be for 9.
And that's where the fourth umpire comes into it. It wasn't the umpire that was in control that paid that. It was the one that was further afield on the boundary side of the contest. Saw that it was a throw.
He could kick this. He could ride this on the breeze, right to left. He could kick this. He's in range.
To level the scores. Sits it up a little. It's drifting. And Cloak and Jamison tie up. Dance content to let it roll through.
Packen will be disappointed there. He missed out in the 500. Tyson Gold.
I think they finally tracked down Juddy with the blood rule. You said that before, Brownie.
There it is. Left eye. He's hunting the ball up today, Juddy.
He'll have a nice shiner.
Said today too, Mick Moldhouse, that he thinks Juddy could play for a few more years.
Well, it's nice to have leadership if you're a coach on the field. Someone to direct traffic, send players that are inexperienced to the right places. I think we've seen a couple of very mature players extend their careers through intelligence, like Boomer Harvey, who hasn't lost a lot of speed but still looks good.
You hit the nail on the head there, Dwayne. It's, can they keep most of their leg speed?
Yeah, exactly.
I never had to worry about that, Chase, because I never had it in the first place.
Right,
But you're right. I think it's nearly the most important thing for players as they get into the twilight of their career. It doesn't matter how good you are. Once you start to become one of the slower players out there, it's hard to ply your trade.
Yep.
We've got 2 players playing this year who are in the top 5 all time for games played, Boomer Harvey and Dustin Fletcher. And neither of them slowing down at the moment. Cloak, one-on-one. Jamison, Cloak.
Good contest.
Jumper half held. Blaine Boakhurst jumped on, did well, didn't have Pryor, tied up by Goldsack, ball up.
Well, this is a great contest all around. First with Cloak and Jamison, and then the other players coming in behind that contest, just showing some real desperation.
Palm down from Rowe.
Definitely been a step up the intensity today of the football compared to the first week of the NAB Challenge, which of course makes sense because there's a lot more experienced players coming in, getting ready for round 1.
Swan to have the snapshot, doesn't get it to work around enough.
The problem Carlton have got at the moment is they're trying to play fast and aggressive football behind the ball in the defensive end, in the defensive half. They're holding 2 loose players, Collingwood, and they just can't get through with any pure plays or any marking contests inside their forward half anymore.
Another barrel, and it's a beauty.
He's got onto both of them. Liam Jones comes up and plucks it past the centre circle. And he goes to White. So 3 kicks and maybe a goal here. He decides not to hand it off, not to kick it. He goes back. Not bad. This is Clem Smith. Tom Bell. And he launches from outside 50. Long, goal square. Jones couldn't get there.
It's an exciting tactic when you see the big barrel coming out from the kick out. And he's launched 2 rippers straight down the middle, both just past the centre of the ground. And if you set up correctly, it's a very effective tactic.
It's been a while, probably since David Wirapunda for the West Coast Eagles used to do the big barrels all the time. It's been a few years since someone's perfected that technique from kicking out.
It's a craft you have to develop, though, and there are limitations on how much kicking you can do at training these days.
Yep. But as we heard Steel Sidebottom say, when we spoke about whether Collingwood players would do it, he said, Bucks, you wouldn't give the licence to many players. You need to be able to kick it, 8 or 9 times out of 10. Any less than that, and it becomes too erratic.
Did you ever kick a torp for goal, Jace?
Once in a night game.
How'd it go?
I went through, and I was amazed. Very happy. Wouldn't have tried it in a proper game. It was the
1,253 goal drop punts and 1 torp.
What about the legendary Peter Hudson used to kick barrels all the time for goal?
Flat punts, floaters.
Inside out barrels.
What about a banana, Jason? Did you go the banana at any
He
stage?
kicked a couple of those.
Okay. So only 1,250 drop punt goals.
was very boring, Dwayne.
The half forward.
I take your point.
Yeah, just very boring at 65% with the drop punt. There's a lot of players these days playing full forward who would dream of kicking a 65% as Rose slung to the deck. 3 minutes left in this third. Pendlebury tries the steal. Cripps got it from him. Players starting to tire now. And both teams deciding not to play with a full complement of players today as Clem Smith gathers and goes to Bell. Touch play on the call, close to the boundary. Brown kept it initially to his detriment. Menzel. Scoop back. Sinclair looks up. Not a lot of options to go to. Swan feeds back for him. In fact, it's 24 versus 25 today. Carlton 24 players, 18 on the field plus 6 interchange. Collingwood 25, 18 plus 6 plus the 1 sub. And teams can have 2 subs if they want to. Thomas spears to Cloak. Good hands. So they will fatigue a little late in this contest.
Good to see there. Good hit up and mark. You want to take a couple of those on the lead early in the pre-season. Get your hands right.
You've just checked the book, Jason. Did I rob you of a couple of percent? You were 68%, were you? 69.
66. No,
66.
Not that high.
Okay. What did I call you? 65. You were 65% with a drop punt.
Here's Trav King for goal. Does he still practice with the headphones in, with the crowd noise at training?
Couldn't tell you, but that was not a good kick off the boot.
They are struggling.
Plugger, of course, the greatest of all time at 70%, which is just a ridiculous percentage to kick at. If you ever wanted someone to kick for your life, he's the man you would take all day, every day.
But is that because he got a lot of his closer to goal?
It didn't matter where he got them. He was
good
just a
point.
beautiful kick. He was a technician when it came to kicking. It was simple and super effective.
I think he kicked 16 straight one day when he was playing for Sydney against my boys, Fitzroy, at the Western Oval, or the Whitten Oval now, which is the windiest ground outside of Waverley, wasn't it, Jace?
It was not great.
Close to the boundary here. White keeps it in. Just past Jones. He keeps it alive, rolls it towards goal. Hits the post.
He must have been tempted to take that, Lockie Henderson. He thought it was going to bounce through.
All good forwards to take that, Jace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Casbolt used his body well on the American and then won a free
Just
against Mason Cox.
that last kick out, they were able to go short, Dwayne, because the last 2 have been barrels down the middle, 75 metres. The zone's pulled right back. Carlton strategically playing well here.
Casbolt, long goal square, thumped across the face.
Bit of niggle going on between some of the players as well. They've put it on the line today. They both want to win this one.
We're getting close to round 1, so there's definitely competition for spots, isn't there, Jace, from both sides?
And Carlton's round 1 game a little closer than some of the other teams. Hawthorn playing on the Monday of round 1 as this is kept alive to Blair. Carlton opened the season round 1 against Richmond in a traditional contest. MCG, of course, that one, the season opener. You'll see that live on Fox Footy, of course, as you will every game live and ad-free siren to siren. Pendlebury flicks it up to Varco. Good speed here. Long to Galt. In a 1-on-2. Doherty, one of the 2.
Been the problem too many times with that long kick going forward for Collingwood. Travis Varco just needed to use the ball a bit better.
Everett against Broomhead as the siren sounds to end another entertaining quarter here at the Queen Elizabeth Oval in Bendigo. Full house. Ticket only affair, and it's been a magnificent contest in beautiful football conditions on a surface that some of the AFL grounds would be envious of. A super goal each, 6-10, 55, 8-6, 63. Maybe mid-year they'll lock him in for another stint. Collingwood hasn't led in this game, if you've just flicked on. Margins quarter time, 15 points to the Blues, 8 points now at three-quarter time. They led by 4 at half-time. Final term underway. Still in bright sunshine here in Bendigo. Doherty got the handball out. Dragged down by Blair. Varco should be fresh. Little bump was good from Marley Williams. He bangs a torpedo inside 50. Cloak stands under it with Jamison. Not clear. Varco from the pocket. Got it from Broomhead. And right on the line, Tui sees it across.
Interesting that Nathan Brown starts on the bench in this last term for Collingwood. That means the two key defenders for the Pies, you've got Adam Oxley, who's picking up Liam Jones, and then you've also got Alan Tuvey, who has to do the job on Lockie Henderson. So it's going to be a big test for them, one-on-one in the air.
Smith flew early. Varco crumbed it nicely. Cloak and Rowe with the fist. Gets it out of play.
The other one on the bench is Scott Pendlebury, and I think that his day is done, boys. 3/4 of football, first game back. That's enough for the captain.
13 possessions, 9 of them contested for Scotty Pendlebury.
So Grundy's day done. Pendlebury's day done. Karnisis kick touch. Simpson gathers, shrugs. Collingwood with the numbers. Sinclair.
Really, I love the way they've turned him from that small forward that was getting lost far too often and saw him lose form into a lockdown defender that can also rebound and use his speed, and it's certainly been the making of him, I think, Ben Sinclair.
And he's very courageous in the air too. I think he reads the ball well. We know as especially a medium-sized defender, you need to be good at those intercept marks, which quite often start your attack.
Broomhead ping.
He wants to come back on.
It does. Well, even though there's nothing on it, pride kind of kicks in, and as a captain of a team, you probably do want to win, especially against an old adversary. Nice float in from Langdon. Missed it though. Dropped it, put it to the grass. And sometimes there doesn't have to be a prize on the end of it for you to actually give it everything you've got. Some players have pride. They just want to be good every time they ever step out. Doesn't matter what the game is. Some players want to be great every time they train. Tuvey to half forward.
It's Michael Voss like Dwayne every time he stepped out on the track.
Yeah, well, if you train for greatness, it's easier to play consistently for greatness, they say. And a good wraparound tackle, although we have seen many players over the course of time that have been big game players, always played well in big occasions, but yeah, Vossi very rarely played a bad game.
Not sure what Sam Doherty was thinking then. That's a strange kick.
Yaron tries to backpedal out of the pack. Tut. Simpson. It's only got Henderson to go for. And Henderson in a 1-on-3 virtually. And still grabs it. Takes off. He's got White inside 50. He gives it off instead. Boakhurst. Wobble to White. And he marks it.
That's the first time since the first quarter, Dwayne, that we've really seen that slingshot from Carlton, where they got all their numbers up the other end of the ground and took off. Obviously, it's a lot of the guys are starting to fatigue, but they'll be happy with that nice bit of run out of defence.
Mind you, it took a couple of contested marks to pull it off, didn't it? Just good use of the body from both Henderson and White. Should kick this. 20 out directly in front. Two
guys also, Henderson and White, that can play both ends of the ground as well. I think it's one of the strengths of Carlton's side.
Simon White to give them some breathing space, and he puts that into the car park. And ooh, I wouldn't want to own that silver Jaguar parked behind those goals. Straight onto the bonnet.
I just parked the hire car there, Dwayne.
Yeah,
that's not mine, so.
Brownie.
I'm not sure if you can get silver Jaguars from a hire car company. Imagine where you'd have to pay a day to get a silver Jaguar from the hire car mob.
Who owns that, Jace? You can afford the repair bill.
Not quite sure what's going on out there, Pipe.
They have to hit up Dermy. Has Dermy still got the panel beaters?
I don't think he has anymore.
Give you a freebie.
Carlton by 13 points. 10,000 in here. That's the capacity of Queen Elizabeth Oval. They have had 14-odd thousand in here for local grand final before, but
it's a ground that looks great when it's packed like this too.
Occupational health and safety has changed a little, I think, over time. Bell didn't keep it in.
And he's disappointed, but I think it's the right decision. The umpire was right there.
He's a big lad, Tom Bell, isn't he?
Good size. That's
Yeah.
clearly over.
Dwyer couldn't quite get down and pick it first time and can't get it second time either. And the players are a little fatigued at the moment. Some of the sting gone out of the game.
Definitely Levi Casbolt. It looks like they're going to play him for a fair chunk in the ruck. It's going to be part of his role during the year, obviously. Along with, I'm not sure who the other ruckman is. Is it going to be Robbie Warnock? Is it going to be Cameron Wood? Obviously, Matthew Cruz is out injured at the moment.
Just can't get a run at it, Matty Cruiser, can he?
Big launch from Brown to the wing. Row up 3 deep. Flicks it over the back. Tui. Jacks. To half forward. A few blinded by the sun. Bell collects on the run. Sizes them up. That is delightful.
Oh.
Did it just clip the back?
It touched the back of the padding. So unlucky, because that looked to be a beautiful kick off. But he roved it beautifully. He read the play. He sized up the goals. Just needed a better bounce.
This forward line will become pretty potent when you think of Dale Thomas will play somewhere inside 50 this year, and Andrew Walker is another one that is only 3 or 4 weeks away from returning from injury.
Flick out the back from Cripps to Jacks. Again, top of the square, discipline, sun in the eyes. Brown, well, that was, well, I was going to say dangerous. It was horrible. Boakhurst flicks it out. Simpson, time to size it up. Bell gets one to the ear. Umpire said, keep going, boys. Tuvey, just in time. Ramsey. Tui. Sidesteps a couple. Hands to Yaron. Still got some spring. Judd.
Smart kick.
Of the top 100 inside 50 players in the competition last year, Chris Yaron had the highest percentage of marked kicks in. He is a freak in the forward half of the ground.
It's a good test for Juddy here from the pocket.
That's why they call it the money kick king.
First game of 2015 for Chris Judd, and the great man can't slot it. Still a chance for Collingwood to steal it. Langdon. Cloaks come up. Flies off hands. Nice collect on the run, Sinclair. It opens up for Collingwood. He's got Fasolo leading back to the square. Took his full measure. Hands it off. Crisp. Dwyer. Well worked.
Well, he didn't panic, Ben Sinclair. He was desperate to see someone lead into space, but everyone was busy running back towards goal. They virtually had their back to him. So he had to stall a little bit. He got a hand pass over the top, and then they were able to size something up.
From my home club, Sam Dwyer, South Warrnambool, down in the southwest of Victoria. Another one of the mature age lads that's come along late in his career. He's been a fantastic player for the Pies.
He cut the margin to 9. Post.
Tom Bell's just come from the ground, boys. Looks like he's in some discomfort, maybe a slight hamstring query, just that being assessed by the doctors at the moment. I think I'll have to come back to you on what the actual injury is.
You'd think if both clubs had the option right now of pulling up stumps, they might just about call it. Curnow dropped as he was dropping it. Clem Smith turns into trouble. No Pryor. There's Tom Bell.
Might be an ankle, I think, Dwayne.
So they've already got Gibbs and Warnock off.
He's looking at the right
Problems?
foot there, holding that right foot.
Varco just waited for it and then saw it sail over his head. Scrambling kick towards Rowe and Marley Williams. Tuvey bounced kindly for him, but he drops it. And they are spent, these players. Blaine Boakhurst, 360, and then the handball.
The skill's starting to deteriorate a little as the players get tired.
Marley Williams.
Catch that.
It's high, strong, and he did catch it in the end. Nice grab, really.
I don't think any of his teammates would have been too happy with that kick.
Kieran Byrne, the Irishman, 20 years of age. The Irishman from County Louth did well there, read it well. Curnow. Doherty, Simpson.
Worked hard for that, Boakhurst. It was a long lead. Came from 100 metres away.
White.
This is the patience you were talking about earlier, Brownie. They love to play fast football, but there's a time for this.
Yep, they're not going to be able to play fast all the time, King. No one's going to have the energy for that, so they need to get the balance.
Marley Williams tries to knock away Chris Pendlebury and not 15. Not sure Buckhurst. Well, he knew it wasn't 15. Surely it travelled 6. Crutch, Greenwood brought down. That's ball. And Carazzo, well, I'm not sure Carazzo actually.
Well, he did, and then he decided he didn't want to take it, but it was too late.
Surely you have to wait until the whistle sounds and you know whether it's your kick or not, perhaps.
I think everyone knew whose kick that was, but you can see here he takes it and he likes the snap, and then he says no.
I reckon
it might get smothered.
I reckon the umpire just told him you're going.
And Troy Menzel would have been cursing him there, I reckon. Nothing worse as a forward if someone plays on it. Gets run down. It's your free kick. Had a quiet day today, Troy.
Carazzo again. Menzel under this. Or Williams and Jones, and Menzel collects. On cue. You said he had a quiet day. Centres it to White. Outrun for it by Langdon.
Collingwood defence has held up quite well. It's going to be an interesting talking point from throughout the year. It's quite inexperienced. Well, obviously, we know Nick Maxwell's gone, Heredia Lumumba as well. Where's their leadership and where's their voice going to come from their organisation throughout the year? It's going to be interesting to watch their progress. I think they've got a fair bit of talent there. Does it fall on the shoulders of a Nathan Brown, or do they need to grab Tyson Goldstack out of the forward line and put him back there for some experience?
Rowe with the fifth to Judd. Carazzo. Menzel stands under this. Stays down in the end. Langdon, his man, with the big fist away.
It's a good player, Langdon.
Crisp wide. Collingwood with the numbers cloak. He's looked a bit rusty in his first game.
And it shows, Dwayne. He's only had the 5 possessions. Hasn't really got any fluency in his game.
Pendlebury back off, having a spell. Marley Williams back off, having a spell. Josh Thomas inside 50. Byrne. Rowe. Oh, he gets there with goal. Good contest. Broomhead. Sidestep was good. Centering kick. Varco. He's one of the freshmen, Varco. Karnesis wanted it. And the kick smothered. Varco hunts it down. Jamison with him.
Well, it's a game that's still up for grabs. Plenty of time on the clock. Collingwood only need a goal to get right back in this and put a bit of pressure on the Blues, but it's just who can compose themselves, that final bit of execution in the forward 50.
Gold. And that's too wide.
Just having a look down there, they're giving Christian Jacks some time on Travis Cloak. I think he's been fantastic today, Jacks. He stood on a couple of high balls and played his part of that as that loose defender at times. The one-on-one on Cloak, it'll be a fascinating watch.
He done a good job on Josh Kennedy in the first NAB Challenge game for West Coast a couple of weeks ago.
And it probably means more to Christian Jacks than it does to Travis Cloak. I mean, is it a new club? He played 6 games with GWS, so he wants to impress his coaches and his fellow teammates, whereas Travis, well, he knows he's going to be in round 1. So different agendas. Doesn't affect Juddy. He knows he's in round 1, but he's still giving everything he's possibly got.
If we were giving out votes, I reckon Juddy would be nearly in the votes today.
He's always in the votes.
He's had nearly 200 Brownlow votes, Juddy.
I think he's got, for any player that's played 100 games or more, the best Brownlow vote per game ratio. I think he's up almost, or just under 1.
The great Lee Matthews got the most votes. He didn't win one, Dwayne.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, isn't it?
Tragic.
He doesn't rate the Brownlow medal.
He rated if he had 3 of them.
Yeah. It's okay being the greatest player of all time. You don't actually have to have won a Brownlow to confirm it.
That's an ordinary kick. There were 2 Carlton players out there, and he split the difference and found the one Collingwood player in Ben Sinclair.
Oh, crunch, Casbolt.
Great courage.
And Blair. Pendlebury back on, gives to Cloak. Flicks it out wide to Dwyer. Kicks it to where Cloak would like to be right now. Karnesis can't mark it. Cripps. Jamison.
Got to go for this, Chris Judd, against 3.
And does.
And
Beats
gets
them
it.
all.
Freakish.
To Casbolt, to Tutt, who started this game brilliantly. Gee, the umpire said he ran his full measure.
Borderline.
Keeps Collingwood alive.
Yep.
So Varco long. Karnesis his target.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Collingwood can compose himself, they can win this game.
They've had enough of the ball up there. There's the first month for the Blues. The big
Season
one against
opener.
the Tigers, yeah. West Coast, Essendon and St Kilda. They'll fancy themselves in those games.
It should be at least be 2-2, guys.
Broomhead scrambles a goal. So they are a chance with 4 minutes left.
Just what the game needed, just to tighten things up. Bring a little bit of urgency back for the last couple of minutes. Scotty Pendlebury's back on the ground for the Pies. So he's keen to get a win on the board, keen to get a couple more touches of the leather. Really a goal out of nothing.
It was, wasn't it?
They won the tap, the Blues. They looked to have the numbers, but Broomhead that was good enough to pick it up and throw it on the boot. Good goal sense.
There's a lot of fatigue out there. There wasn't much organisation. It was just whoever grabs it, just try and kick it over your shoulder.
And his excitement level kind of tells you the story. Because there's nothing on it, the players aren't necessarily excited by the fact that it's only an 8-point game. 1 super goal in it right now, and Collingwood can actually steal this, even though they haven't been in front all day. Ramsey. Marley Williams. Pendlebury with some poise. Now Greenwood gets his chance. Keeps it low, turns it over. Henderson. Saw Carlton's first month. Collingwood opens their season against the Brisbane Lions at the Gabba on a Saturday night. The Dane Beams game, if you like. And there's their run first 4.
I think both Collingwood and Carlton will be excited about their first month. Yeah. Very, very winnable games. If they're up and about, they can get off to a good start.
Just through Jones, that kick. Menzel. They need to hit that target. There might have been a chance to wrap this one up. Williams short. DeGoey.
Of course, both sides have got some talented players to come back in as well. Going on today's performance for both of them, they'll be pretty happy, I reckon, the coaches.
Some turnovers happening late.
Yeah.
They're just repeating their final NAB Challenge game next week. Carlton against Geelong, Collingwood against the Dogs. So that's what they've got to finish with heading into those round 1 games. Menzel.
So it's a shocking feeling this time of the pre-season, Dwayne, when you've ran your backside off for the whole 3 or 4 months, and you get into games and you couldn't blow a candle out. Fair to them. You just wonder, what have I been doing all this training for?
Simon White doesn't go for the 9. Tui could have sent some super goals. Sherrans to Ireland. Brown a wraparound tackle. Cripps bottom of the pack. Final round of the NAB Challenge starts this coming Thursday night. St Kilda and Hawthorn at Etihad Stadium. You'll see that one live on Fox Footy. In fact, you'll see every one of the final round games live on Fox Footy across the coming weekend, starting Thursday night. Judd.
Juddy's looked the fittest out of anyone.
He's still running on top of the ground, isn't he?
Smith dragged down from behind by Oxley. Not a legal disposal according to the umpire. Advantage.
Chance here for the Pies.
Langdon's got no one ahead of the ball. He has to wait, and didn't wait it well to Karnesis. He didn't wait, and then he didn't wait it well enough.
And Collingwood's certainly been the better side. I reckon almost after quarter time. They've just lacked composure.
Just for the crowd's sake, it would be nice for Collingwood to have a shot for a super goal after the siren, though, wouldn't it? 8-point game now. It's a full house. Cox flies. And into the back of Levi Greenwood. 1 minute left. Sits it up long. Hits the deck for Solo. Tackled by Yaron. Crowd starting to scream for a big finish.
Well, a goal here would make it an exciting last minute, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you're just trying to lock down as a small defender, as any defender. Just get on your man, block their run.
Flick down, crisp.
And vice versa, you'll see Collingwood, 3 or 4 Collingwood guys will try and stream straight through the middle of this stoppage.
8 points the margin. A super goal would win it for Collingwood, and they've not been in front all day. Scramble clear.
Oh, free kick, no.
Oxley flicks it up. Here's the super goal attempt from Brown. Not enough on it. It's high. Karnizis is under it. Couldn't mark it. Goldsack. Here's the big finish. No!
That's a shame.
Geez, good crumbing effort, wasn't it? He's great for their forward line, Tyson Goldsack. Of course, you'd like him to play defence as well, but he creates so much pressure. He can take a mark in the air. We obviously see there at ground level he's quite competent.
Tui, well, if they mark this just outside 50 Collingwood, they can still have the super goal attempt. Pack flies. Out of play. 30 seconds left. 7 points the margin. Mason Cox up against Levi Casbolt. Carazzo. Dwyer and Yaron. 18 seconds left, and the ball in the right spot for a super goal.
Chris Yaron, he's had a pretty handy game. Big Levi Casbolt, he's rucked most of the last quarter, so he'll deserve a drink after the game.
Carazzo feeds it back. Yaron shrugs one. Caught. High tackle.
They'll soak it up now. Certainly been one of the Blues' best. Chris Yaron, 22 possessions this is, or 21 he finishes on because he doesn't get to kick it before the siren.
Crowd here enjoyed their afternoon, though. They saw 2 teams close to full strength really turn it on, especially Carlton early. Kicked 6 of the first 7 goals of the game. Collingwood fought back, levelled the scores in the second term. But the Blues held steady and in front of a full house. Only ticketed patrons were able to get in today. They got home by 7 points, the Blues, in their old recruiting zone. Place where they got guys like Diesel Williams and co. They'd be pretty happy in front of what was once upon a time their home crowd as we head downstairs to David